Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. Got your questions as we get closer to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding the pay-per-view. Also check out the predictions video I did with Jeff Meacham and David Payne. That is up on the website and the YouTube channel. First question today comes from John. Do you expect Kevin Owens to lose the title to Goldberg in seconds? Doubt WWE wants KO looking better than Brock. My guess is that Chris Jericho will play a role in that match, and that will help stretch out the match longer than just a few seconds. To me, it would be a really bad idea for Kevin Owens to lose the title right away to Goldberg. I think that would make him look really weak. However, I think that Goldberg should win the title in fairly dominating fashion. Now, what I expect to happen is that Jericho will interfere right away, Goldberg will take out Jericho, and due to the distraction, Owens will be able to get the advantage on Goldberg and get some heat on Goldberg to save face a little bit. But in the end, Goldberg will make his comeback, hit the spear, hit the jackhammer, and WWE will somehow manage to stretch this out to 5 to 10 minutes without Goldberg being exposed and without Owens looking too weak. I mean, the key is to make Owens look strong and make Goldberg look strong. So how will WWE do this? I think that what I just mentioned will probably be something along the lines of what they end up doing. I would be surprised if Kevin Owens just got squashed in 2 minutes by Goldberg. Could happen though. Got this one here from Braden. Why hasn't New Day broken up yet? That is a great question. I think that it really is time to break up the New Day. I feel like the act is stale. When I was at Raw this past week in Portland, yeah, New Day did get a good reaction. The crowd did the whoo, whoo, whoo. But I noticed New Day did not quite get as big of a reaction as I was expecting. And compared to other people on the show, like Goldberg and Enzo and Cass, New Day definitely did not get as big of a reaction. Now, I could tell you why, from a business standpoint. WWE is still selling New Day merchandise. The Bootios cereal, the t-shirts. As long as New Day is selling merchandise, WWE is not going to be in any kind of hurry to break up the group, even if, from a creative standpoint, it feels like the group has run its course. As long as they're still selling merchandise, I think WWE will run this thing into the ground and keep them as a group as long as possible. And plus, if WWE doesn't have anything planned for these guys as singles competitors, then I could also see WWE stretching it out and not breaking them up with the fear that all three guys will end up getting lost in the shuffle without any kind of plan or direction. And I got this question here from Phillies. This is on the topic of New Day. Do you think New Day will break up soon, possibly after Mania? Big E turning heel. Initially, I thought New Day would have broken up by now. I mean, I would have shot the angle at the Royal Rumble to set up the breakup and do a New Day triple threat at WrestleMania and make a really big deal out of the breakup. I could see it being stretched out now for the rest of the year. I mean, I think there's a possibility they could break up shortly after WrestleMania, and in which case, who would go heel? I've said this before. I think that Xavier of the three would probably be the one to turn on his teammates. I think Big E has potential to have a successful singles run, perhaps as a major player, and Kofi can go back to being a babyface again. Maybe he can be a little bit in a better position than he was before the New Day started. I think Big E's the guy that has the real potential to go far of the three of them, and maybe Xavier can do well as a heel. And Kofi, I think just being Kofi, he'll be able to manage to stick around and have some kind of relevance in WWE. Got this one here from Bradley. What's one thing that could make WrestleMania a great show and one thing that would make WrestleMania a bad show? To me, it's the same thing, and it's the ending. The ending can sometimes make or break a WWE show, whether it's a random pay-per-view or WrestleMania. I mentioned this in one of the recent videos, that sometimes the end of the pay-per-view can have a lasting effect of how people remember that pay-per-view. if the pay-per-view ended on a sour note, people tend to think of the entire pay-per-view as a dud. I mean, 2015 is the perfect example. You had that triple threat match with John Cena, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar, which was an awesome match. I mean, one of the best WWE pay-per-view matches in a very long time, easily the past decade. And most people think of that 2015 Rumble pay-per-view as one of the worst pay-per-views in WWE history because of Roman Reigns winning the Rumble. So it's all about the perception and how the show ends and the fans having that lasting impression at the very end that could really make or break a show. So I would definitely say the ending, the final moment of the pay-per-view. Got this one here from Javier. What do you think of Aries confronting Neville at Fastlane since it's in his hometown and setting up a WrestleMania match? I love the idea. I've said this before. I would like to see Austin Aries versus Neville for the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania. I'm thinking one of two things will happen. Either that or they do some sort of match with all the Cruiserweights so everyone gets a spot at WrestleMania. But I think Neville versus Aries, with Aries winning the title, would be a great WrestleMania Cruiserweight match. I could see that possibly happening. I could see a scenario where you have Neville retaining at Fastlane and then afterwards you have Austin Aries coming out and announcing that he's cleared and he's challenging Neville for the title at WrestleMania. I think that would be a great angle. I would definitely consider doing that if Aries will be ready in time for WrestleMania. And that's still a big question mark. I mean, there's no exact time frame of when Austin Aries is returning to action. Got this one here from Garrison Smith. How does WWE use Samoa Joe at Fastlane? Maybe have him destroy Big Show? I'd like to see him use the Muscle Buster on him. I'm not sure if Joe is going to be using the Muscle Buster on the main roster. We did not see it on Raw. He did not use the Muscle Buster, so there's a possibility that that move is banned, you know, because of what happened to Tyson Kidd, even though Joe was using it in NXT. I'd like to see something like that, although I will argue that it should not be with Big Show, because if Big Show's facing Shaq, I think they need to do something to elevate Show a little bit. You know, Show looked pretty weak at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, coming out and quickly getting eliminated by Braun Strowman. I would do something to make Big Show look good and have him come out there and win some squash matches, win some 1-on-4 matches, or do something with him to set him up for Shaq and give Show a little bit of credibility before WrestleMania. So, quite frankly, I would not have Show be the fall guy. Now, somebody like Mark Henry, I think that would be a perfectly suitable match for Samoa Joe and somebody for Samoa Joe to dominate and make an example out of. So if I was going to go with anybody, I'd go with Mark Henry. Got this one here from Deplorable Hamp. Sad about Mike Adamle. What did you think of him as GM? I thought he was entertaining as GM, but a bad announcer. I think it really sucks what's going on with Mike Adamle with the whole dementia and you know, the stuff with the concussions, the CTE. I think that looking back at Mike Adamle, perhaps all that played a role in him not exactly living up to expectations in WWE, and all the stuff with him forgetting his lines and calling Jeff Hardy, or Jeff Harvey, excuse me. Jeff Hardy, he called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey. And people like to make fun of him for all that stuff. But looking back, I mean, now it's kind of hard to make fun of the guy, knowing what happened to him and what was going on and a possible reason why he was screwing up so much in WWE. You know, I feel bad for the guy. There's not much else to say about it, and that just shows you the dangers of not only competing in a WWE ring, but competing in any kind of contact sport like football and the risks that are involved. And as time goes on, we learn more and more about the severity of taking these blows to the head and how it can affect people and screw them up as they get older. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. If WWE ever signed Ronda Rousey, would she likely dominate? Which of all women could you see being the first to pin her? I doubt Ronda Rousey would lose in WWE. My guess is if she comes into WWE at some point, she will be a special attraction like a Brock Lesnar, and maybe they can get a few appearances out of her. But I'm tending to think that if she does come in, and she probably will at some point, I mean, my gut feeling is she'll be there for something. She might just do one match. She might come in and have a match at WrestleMania, and then that'll be it. She'll make her celebrity appearance, have the big moment, and then she'll be gone. I'm not expecting her to be like a full-time female performer in WWE, and I think WWE would want to use her as a special attraction for one or two big matches, and that's it. And if that's the case, then usually the special attraction wins, and most of the time the celebrity goes over in these types of matches. So I would not expect Ronda Rousey to get beat by anyone. Got this one here from Wrestling Genius. Hey Aaron, at what point do you remember that WWE started doing 50-50 booking? Attitude Era? Ruthless Aggression Era? PG Era? WWE has been doing the 50-50 booking for a very long time, but to me it really started to be very noticeable around the time that Raw went to 3 hours, and also that was the time when WWE pretty much gave up on the brand extension and you had the Super Show era and everyone was part of one brand again and everyone was on both shows. And I think at that point you had the writers needing to fill up time, and because there was so much filler, you got a lot of rematches. The same matches kept getting booked over and over again. You know, I remember back in 2012 they started doing that whole thing with Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio, that series of matches. With them, it seemed like they were trading wins back every other week on Raw, and it was just getting ridiculous. I mean, and that to me, that was really when it started to become very noticeable. You know, like I said, WWE's been doing it for a long time, but I think because of the fact that they needed to fill time with the 3-hour Raws, that it became more noticeable. Got this one here from Bader Orden. Don't you think it's silly when titles are being defended at house shows when we certainly know that it won't change hands? Well, to the smart fans out there, I mean, yeah, that's obvious that nothing ever really happens at house shows, and the titles being on the line, it doesn't mean anything. But to the casual fans, to them, there might be a title change, you know? They do not really follow the business as closely as some of the more hardcore fans, and when you have kids going to the shows with their parents, you know, to them, they might see a title change as far as they're concerned, and that's why the matches are announced as title matches. And every once in a while you do have a title change, and I think WWE should have a title change at a house show every now and then. I think it would boost up house show attendance when fans would know that there is a strong possibility, because when you go to house shows, it's mainly the casual fans that go, and I think you could get more of the hardcore fans going by having a title change every now and then. WWE used to do it more often, and it seems lately they haven't done it nearly as much. So yeah, even changing the Universal title at MSG with Brock Lesnar and Kevin Owens, that could end up happening, and I think that would be huge, because that would generate a lot of publicity and getting people to think that, okay, maybe there's a chance, maybe there's a reason to go to the show, because we just might see a title change. Got this one here from our columnist, JT. Hey Aaron, I'm a huge fan of Seth Rollins, but to me, WWE shouldn't risk it with Rollins returning so early. Do you agree? Definitely. I think that WWE should not bring back Rollins and jeopardize his long-term health for the sake of a WrestleMania match with Triple H. I'd rather he come back when he's 100% healthy. Now, as far as Seth Rollins is concerned, I think he would probably want to come back at less than 100%. He does not want to miss WrestleMania. For most of the guys in WWE, WrestleMania is the big night of the year, and missing WrestleMania is huge for these guys. And I think for Seth Rollins, you know, it's something he's worked so hard at, wanting to come back and be part of WrestleMania this year after missing last year's WrestleMania. I think he'll push himself extra hard, more than anybody could possibly imagine, for the chance of being able to come back at WrestleMania. So will he be 100%? I mean, that's really hard to say. I mean, nobody really knows except for Seth Rollins and his doctors if he'll be back in time for WrestleMania. But we're all hoping that's the case. Will WWE bring him back before he's ready? I would not rule that out, but my gut feeling is if he's not very close to 100%, they probably will play it safe and not have him be on the show. But if they feel that he can pull it off and the doctors feel he can pull it off, then he'll probably be there. Got this one here from HH1906. Who is the worst move seller of all time in the WWE? Maybe not the worst, but Big Show always makes finishers look weird and weak. Ultimate Warrior, Road Warrior Hawk. Those are a couple of the guys that had the reputations for not selling moves very well, although that was also part of their gimmicks. You know, with the Road Warriors, they always wanted to look really strong and not sell anything, and same thing with the Ultimate Warrior. So part of it was how they were booked, but some would say that Hawk just no-sold people's moves just for the hell of it because he didn't feel like selling. You know, I remember one time Hawk took a pile driver and just stood right up from it, and it really made no sense at the time. I mean, it really did not play into the storyline. Thinking back over the years at some of the other names, I mean, some would say Sid was a terrible seller, Kevin Nash. I mean, a lot of the big guys were not really known for their selling ability, and again, part of that was due to them being booked like monsters, and maybe part of it was also due to them just not giving a damn and not wanting to make the smaller guys look good at the sacrifice of hurting their own credibility. This one comes from Jeremy James 24. If Hulk Hogan had faced Steve Austin at WrestleMania 18, would you have seen the same fan reaction? That's an interesting question, because I think with Steve Austin, you would have had less fans booing Austin. With The Rock, it got to the point where fans were already starting to resent Rock for doing all the Hollywood stuff. And with Austin, you know, fans were just happy that he was a babyface again. The what thing was red hot at the time. So I don't know. I mean, I still think Hogan would have gotten a babyface reaction, but I'm not sure if it would have been quite as strong if it was Hogan versus Austin instead of Hogan versus Rock. I mean, that one is one of those what if questions where I think that things could have turned out differently perhaps. It's really hard to say. Again, it's a what if question, so you really don't know how the fans would have reacted. But my gut feeling is Austin would have got way more cheers than The Rock in that spot at WrestleMania against Hulk Hogan. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thank you very much for checking out the video today. If you enjoyed it, please share it. Tell a friend about No DQ&A video. Looking for any kind of word of mouth as possible. So keep telling your friends, anybody you know who watches wrestling, have them check out this video and the channel. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, as I said at the beginning, and I will see you guys next time.